All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Sean from XD, and I'm really happy to have my colleague Ian with me. Ian, you want to say hello?
Well, this is Ian, from the Torchlight Infinite Dev team.
And we have a bunch of our players and fans and contributors here with us today. You guys want to go around and introduce yourselves as well? Milky, want to start things?
Yeah, let's go for it. So I'm Milky. I'm on the Maxroll team for this game. I do a lot of the leveling guides that maybe you've played if you've used Maxroll. Yeah, and I'm really excited for the new season.
I'm 10, or Tenkai, or Tenkei. You can use any of them. 10's just fine. I'm also on the Maxroll Torchlight Infinite team, but you might find me playing several other games as well, as I like to do in my spare time. I like diving into systems, analyzing them, and that's how I got to know Torchlight Infinite.
Hey guys, I'm Postron. I'm on the Path of Exile Maxroll team, and I also really like Torchlight 2. Torchlight Infinite. What the hell? And I grew up with Torchlight 2, so it's like, yeah. But I really love the franchise, and I wanted to succeed. So yeah, I'm here to ask some questions. There you go.
Hello everybody, I'm Crouching Tuna, and I too work with Palstron on the Path of Exile Maxroll team, and I'm a big fan of the game. I always get really stuck in whenever a season comes out, and yeah, just happy to be here to ask some questions regarding to the future of the game and some of the things I'd love to see, as well as, you know, just kind of gather some ideas of where you guys want to go with the game. So thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, guys. So I'm pretty sure you've all got some questions ready. Who wants to go first?
I might as well start. So my first question is that some members of the community have expressed concerns about bloat in Torchlight Infinite, that there's a lot of character progression systems, soul candles being the 8th and most recent addition. Many players find it cumbersome to create a build as a result, especially as there are new systems, each of which often feel more powerful and more mandatory than the last, resulting in power creep, bigger damage numbers, and more difficulty in making a build that you just want to play and casually have fun with.
Yeah, this one just comes to the first one's such a complex ones, but we've just like you mentioned before, we've made the adjustments to damage calculation method, transitioning from the multiplicative to additive for bonuses coming from the save category, and that makes the damage boost and the bloat a lot. That's like one way how we approach this issue. And then in the future, when it comes to the amount of damage boost, our approach will be more conservative comparing to the ones we had before, which is kind of wild. I would say that's the reason that many of the gap between each builds, even hero traits, is just out of our control. And then I think when it comes to making some of the new mechanics, new system we have, we're already on the edge of discussing whether the new systems or the previous ones goes permanent. I think we're quite hesitant about whether we're doing downscaling of the amount of systems we have right now, but we also think the current, no matter if it's character progression or the experience of your dropping, is just not as good as what we expected. So for now, we're still adding more system to it, but in the future we might. I think we're already discussing about whether we will add the same amount of more mechanics or systems in the future.
Yeah, and maybe one way to deal with this bloat, at least a player suggestion, is make the choices a little more specific. So hero traits might be enhanced directly by hero relics and memories, rather than those providing bonuses to your characters. Or the soul candles would directly enhance a specific skill and change its behavior. That way you only use that if you're using that skill, as opposed to everyone has soul candles and everyone gets damage from these kind of systems and effects.
Yeah, actually the new soul candles is more like those boost to skill tags. So in that case, you can just actually choose what kind of skills or which aspect you want to enhance on, and then that's one way like how we enhance on skills. But definitely, I think more changes to the mechanics rather than numbers is a lot more fun, and also easier to control whether if it's overpowered or what or not. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that.
10, you wanna take another question, or should we move to someone else? How do you guys want to play it? Maybe Crouching Tuna, what's your thoughts or questions today?
Yeah, so one question is probably something that's already been asked in the past, but just to sort of gather a time frame of what we're looking at on this is there a fully fledged UI coming for the PC version of the game anytime soon? And if so, is there maybe like a time frame that we're getting or something like that?
I think the optimizations for the PC UI is something we'll always keep on doing. But like, for example, that mouse over tooltips we had before are all the new things we had from last season. But like, since we're adding more and more system to it, we're still like having new issues with the same UI matching no matter it's on PC or on mobile. And so we're always keep on doing those optimizations. But yeah, whenever we have those feedbacks from our players that some of those are just too messed up, we're start looking at those. I think it's not like we have a time frame that we're ensuring that everything is perfect, but we're always on our way to make it perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is obviously one of the things that comes when we're developing and publishing the game across PC and mobile, right? So when people are saying, hey, what about on other platforms as well? This is also why it makes sense that for now we're just focusing on getting it as perfect as possible on PC, and it's not been easy, but also that's never going to end, that process, right? But we're pretty confident. We're just going to keep on optimizing it as best we can.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the feeling that a lot of people dislike the UI, mostly, not really the game. So I feel like that if that has urgency, that would be pretty nice. I mean, it's a good situation to be in, right? The game is not the problem. It's just the UI that's definitely a better place to be in, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those things where right now we've got this situation where the fundamentals of the game are really enjoyable. They're really challenging. They're what people are looking for, and it's essentially like we're at the final hurdle, right? So yeah, I hope people like changes they're gonna see pretty soon, and you know, we're always collecting feedback as well, and also we know what's happening, but making those changes as quick as possible.
Yeah, can't imagine it's an easy thing to solve at all. I feel like it's probably one of the toughest things any game has to face is making the UIs, you know, intuitive and flow well between menus and stuff like that. So, of course, good luck with that. But I thought I had to ask the question.
No,
Sorry, put you on the spot.
All good. That's what we're here for.
All right,
yeah.
Can I jump in with the next one?
Sure.
So you guys are about to rework armor and evasion, which I think is really interesting, because one of the things that kind of irked me sometimes with the game is you go full damage and defenses don't really have much value with most of the content, I would say. Do you think the damage is more of the problem, or solving defenses first? Do you think there's like a little bit too much power creep when it comes to damage multipliers? So you guys addressed some of that in that patch, but is that something going forward that you guys are going to try to get more diminishing returns with like additive damage instead of multiplicative damage? Is that on your guys' radar?
Yes, that's actually the main reason that we changed from multiplicative to additive is we want to make sure that there is diminishing returns when it comes to stacking up the same numbers. So definitely we do concern those power gap between different builds, even among heroes, like I mentioned before, the previous Gemma, but it is worth noting that the overpower of Gemma was due to a bug, but good news, we solved that. And as for the damage inflation issue that Tanky also mentioned before, our current approach is to change the way like how damage numbers were calculated. And with that in mind, our focus is just shifting more to designing new mechanics rather than merely just increasing those numbers. And talking about defensives, we do notice that when players have excessively high damage, they can just ignore all those game mechanics. And with that, we introduced some of those challenges that emphasize on survival, ensuring that our players cannot skip certain phases simply through insane damage. And also we've changed the formulas for calculating both armor and evasion, making them have like a default damage reduction when it comes to, it's not just like simply you evade or you take damage, but more like you have evasion and now you have a like default damage reduction, and making those defensive aspects more consistent, while it's also easier for players to understand and grasp effectively.
Yeah, so basically this patch is going to be more of like a trial run for that, and then you maybe add more and more defensive layers for people to spec into if you feel like some classes don't have enough and so on. Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
I think deflection's a great addition, by the way. It's a smart way to solve a problem that evasion runs into across most ARPGs.
I'd agree with that. We had Milky. Have you been yet? I don't think so, right?
No, I haven't. All right, so I'm gonna mix it up. You guys have asked some pretty hard hitters, but I want to know about the end game. That's where that's my thing. I loved farming the trait cards, those high highs when you get that random draw of cards. Obviously, that's going away. It looked really, and what you did actually looks really interesting. So, is there still going to be a large amount of trait cards? How big is the deck going to be? And do you think there's going to be enough variety there for there to be like a lot of different strategies that people can do? Or is there any concern about it being kind of homogenous where everyone's running like the same deck to get the rewards? Is there still going to be that excitement and high?
I think the new remake trade deck is probably the same size as the one we had before, but this is just the first version. We are definitely adding new and more trade cards into it, adding more strategic decisions into when it comes to like end game. The main purpose of this design is to reduce the burden on players. So in the past, like some players, if they're new to the game, they don't know how to like put all those cards together. They even don't know the order when it comes to like which stage should I clear first. And that is the thing that makes the gap between a pro player and a new player, like the gap is so big. We actually did like a questionnaire that some of our players think they only have like 1 to 10 flame lamentium per hour. That's like their effective the rate of getting those. So that's the reason why we want to change this new thing. And yeah, it's definitely still like have those strategies contains, and but we're definitely adding more into it in the future. So yeah, I can see it. I've literally had people take a screenshot of their cards and say, what order do I run it in? So I can definitely see people needing something, more intuitive rather than, doing it exact and worrying you're going to do one wrong. So I think it's a really good change even.
I think it's also great because there's no real RNG for strategies, right? You just put cards in your deck and you're going to have those effects, and not, I didn't get the card I want, so now I have to do the cycle again. I'm just going to run this map 5 times real quickly and reset the board. Then I don't get it again. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm just going to log off or something, right? So also, one thing that I really like about it is that I can now just spam one map way more, right? Like one layout that I like. I don't have to like jump around in these like corridor layouts. I can just blast Grove of Calamity all day. Yeah, so that's also pretty cool. One thing we had, because when it comes, we do have now you can choose whether you should take the extra game where you follow the chaotic cards like the one before, or you can just keep on spamming, like going through the same easier map to like get to the higher time marks as fast as possible.
Do they work the same way, the chaos cards, or is it just one and done, or is it something different?
You have to complete the card a few times, and then the final one has that chaotic effect.
Right, so you like build it up maybe 5 times, and the 5th time you're going to get the effect of the card.
Exactly.
Okay. But inheritance is completely gone from chaos cards, or is there?
There's no more. So it's going to be only the passive effects, and then if you want that chaotic card effects, you can just follow the orders, and if not, you can just go through the same stage again.
Right. So does that like bounce around and change map?
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's the same way before.
Cool.
I'd like to piggyback off of that question, just to sort of ask, since FE acquisition is going to be more normalized across the player base, I could see that we could kind of get into a problem of inflation, right? Especially when it comes to like acquisition of uniques and the fact that unique drop rates are not really, I don't really expect them to be super changed, right? This season. And we were already getting to the point where like certain uniques were in like the thousands and thousands of FE, right? And that felt like a huge mountain for some people to climb, as some of them were so impactful for certain builds that it was almost like this is your barrier to entry to having fun, right? Is there sort of like, are you guys keeping this into account, and is the economy something that you keep in mind when making these changes as a whole?
Yeah, that's actually the most important thing we've changed this season, which is the first thing is we changed the drop rate of all the legendaries, that making them like, I think it's 3.5 times higher than before. And that's just one thing that we want to lower the cost of all the, lower the barrier where the players, if one of their builds need that legendary, they don't have to like farm, and even like the price, like the amount of FE they farm cannot chase the inflation of the legendary itself. It's not what we want to see. And the other thing is we've changed the crafting system, basically remake it and making it a lot more rewarding while consuming more of the FEs and the flame sand as well. So like in the next season we do adding more flame elementiums, more other flame sands into the game, but like we're still making the cost of the crafting. I don't think we changed the cost to it, but we're making it more rewarding. So like players are more willing to use the crafting system, which will obviously consume more of the in-game the FEs and flame sands, and also the legendaries. We've increased the drop rate for those. So like we're trying to make the barriers for the new players, no matter new players or the advanced players, they know it will be a lot easier for them to actually create their own builds, because everything is not necessary for them to like. There's no such thing as you have to have that insane legendary to create this build. We don't want that to happen. We just want everyone to equally share the create their own creativity as creating a build.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because they can get the base unique easier, but you can still go for double corruptions and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And those are still gonna hold extreme value. So I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
And also the crafting is now a lot more insane. You can now have at most 5 tier 0 affixes on it. That's super powerful. That's insane. Yeah,
they look really cool. It'll be like a huge thing for currency, and also hopefully it will be able to like match a lot of the uniques that you guys have. And by the way, I think the uniques you guys have are like really insane. And the thing I like the most about the game is the fact that you also have the corrosion system, which is affecting those uniques in a way that is adding something new to them, rather than it just being like, oh, this modifier is like a higher number or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's honestly like one of the best things that you guys got going. So for sure.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that.
I think that's great. Talking about crafting, my next question would be, what do you guys want to achieve with crafting? What's your philosophy? Do you want people to be able to just play solo self-found and never really have to engage with trading? Do you want to make endgame crafting still extremely hard for people to strive towards something, or what's your approach there? Because you have had a lot of different iterations over the leagues. Where do you want to end this on?
That's a really good question, because that's the thing that we want to like explain, because the end goal is that we hope our players can slowly beat the game with or without the trade house. So that means the solo self-found is definitely optimized when it comes to the final version of crafting and farming those legendary gears. We have to find, which means we have to find the balance between crafting the best gear while combining with collecting those core legendaries. So the drop rate would be the last season's crafting, it does not work as we intended, but which is also the reason we changed the entire crafting system into this new one, because we hope the overall experience is fluent, as the players can always find their next gear to chase for, no matter if it's a legendary or a crafting gear. So we want to make the entire character progression a lot more fluent than before, while you can beat the game with or without a trade house. You don't have to like rely on the trade house to actually go through the entire game.
So you're trying to make the basically that the trade house will make it faster, but it's still achievable. Okay.
Exactly. It will make it faster, but it does not like last season. will not.
Yeah, you also introduced the new shards or whatever they're called for
Blueprints.
legendary. Yeah, blueprints. Yeah. So that will also help with that. Yeah, for sure. Are
So-
those
Yeah,
like location based, by the way? Can you
Yeah,
are
you
they
can
target
farm
farmable?
for specific blueprints. That's one thing that we've seen like players that just they're staying in the trade house all day because they're like keeping all those precious legendaries in their stack, and that's the thing like we do not want to happen because we want players to like more enjoy like how you actually farm for those, but not like you're doing trading to get those. And that's why we have blueprints where you can if you want this legendary gear so bad, you can actually farm for those blueprints because there are actually places where it will drop. Yeah.
And that way you also basically make like a ceiling for how expensive the item could be, because it can't go to like 10,000 FE if you could just literally farm it in a day, right? So.
Yeah. And we actually have one more thing, which is it's not in the game right now, but we're still like collecting feedbacks with regards to on how the blueprints, how the new legendary system went well. Is we do have a wish list. So the new wish list will be like you can actually choose what kind of blueprints or legendaries you would like to wish to have, and then it will increase that drop rate of that solely. But it's not in game right now. It will be kind of a like in-game activity when it comes to the point. If we see like players still reporting like, oh, I cannot get the ones we want, we might have that activity on to like actually solve that issue.
I can see everyone selecting the most expensive one, and
Yeah.
everyone's farming the same one right now. I can see.
Then
it.
the most expensive one's not the expensive.
And then it swaps,
Yeah.
and then it swaps. Yeah.
I mean, that's
I think it's a great idea.
that's the way we want to solve that issue.
Yeah, it would be a great self-balancing for the economy if a bunch of people start playing a build. Well, a bunch of people are also going to wish list it, and then
if everybody wish lists one item, right, then it's gonna go down, and then everybody's gonna jump to next. So I mean, it still does what it's supposed to.
That's the goal we want to achieve.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. In terms of the crafting, I do have a question about embers. They haven't been mentioned that much. In the past, they've dropped very frequently to a point where in the first few days of a season, players find them valuable and farm them. But later on, you want to avoid farming embers because they're very cheap in comparison to other crafting materials. Have you changed the drop rate of embers or their consumption a little bit?
Yes, we've changed the new crafting. We also calculated how the embers should drop, and then we changed the drop rate for those as well, making it not everyone should have enough for their own crafting, but if you want to craft more, they might want to, get it from the trade house or farm, have a more strategic based trade cards that farm for the flame embers. So I think we changed the entire things as well.
Yeah. And one question that I had, or more of a comment and a question. Exploring the city of Aeterna looks like a blast, and I really like roguelike games. Some of my favorites are Slave of Spire and Hades. What are some of the specific roguelikes that you may have played or that inspired the dev team when making City of Aeterna? And if there weren't specific inspirations, just what are some of your favorites?
Oh, pick me.
Go for it, Sean.
Finally a publishing question instead of all of the technical dev stuff.
Yeah, because we have those internal discussions about what next season should be like.
Yeah. All right. So, so looking at the current season gameplay, we don't have like a pure random map, right? Which is one of the considerations going into the current season. We wanted to create kind of like a puzzle game where you can control the creation of the map and it's random. And so I would say the game that inspired us the most is probably The Binding of Isaac, and the feeling of you completing each room and then moving on to the next room is the feeling we're trying to achieve in City of Aeterna this season.
I'm looking forward to it.
Does that answer your question?
Yep. Well,
Yeah, it looks really cool actually. And you actually mentioned it has like, does it have infinite scaling? I guess I didn't win you more detail on this from what we've heard, but it seemed like you could go forever, right?
Exactly.
And if it increases in difficulty, is there an option to kind of regress and go back and do one that's more comfortable? Because we see other mechanics in games that we're all playing right now where you can't do that.
No.
It
You
starts
can
to feel a bit weird, right? If it gets too hard and you just want to go back to it being more comfortable, just to have chill
you can
time.
choose level. You can choose the level that you want to get into once you complete those. So, yeah, you don't. It's not like one time that you cannot beat it and you cannot beat it forever. You can always jump back to the levels where you're comfortable with and
Perfect.
farm with those. And also, one thing I also want to mention is that the drop rate also increases as the level increases. But when it comes to 1 point, the only difficulty will increase, but the drop rate will remain the same. That we want to make sure that the gap between each builds or even heroes will not affect the efficiency that you grind for more gears. We don't want that gap to be like huge, so like we limited the later on the rewards will more like be honorable rewards, but not like in-game real rewards.
Is that
would be a
shown
nightmare
in
to
game?
balance.
Do you know when you hit that point?
We do have a leaderboard that shows each hero traits and like the ranks of all of them, so you can actually see like who's the best
That's cool.
That's amazing.
So do you know when you hit that point where the loot stops increasing? Does it show you in game, or can you tell us,
I
or
think
is
so.
that something for us to find?
I think it shows the in the affixes where it shows like the increase of your drop rate and drop rarity that is shown in the map.
Sounds good. I would have a question about the current translation and the English client and just the consistency of wording across the board. I noticed there's a lot of like discrepancies there, and especially if you want to make your own build and you have to try stuff out for the first time, especially when there's uniques involved that are extremely rare and hard to get. You spend like thousands of FEs, you put your build together, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work like you thought it would. Is there any plans on making this more consistent, or maybe putting a little bit more focus on the English translation there?
Yeah. Hey guys. Sorry if I dropped for a second just now, but my connection went. I'm gonna answer this question as well, and really appreciate it. And it's kind of similar to what we mentioned earlier about the UI issues or challenges, right? So yeah, localization like is obviously still an issue. There's no point denying that sits there, and we are really trying our hardest to fix and like remain consistent all of the time. And you would not believe how long the spreadsheets are. Like when we're looking at the content for a new season, these spreadsheets in like all of these different languages, and it's going for as long as an Excel spreadsheet can go. And we got this really nice software, and actually we also use some other systems to improve the localization. Anyway, I would say as a publisher, some things obviously, well, actually pretty much everything is get written down in Chinese first, and there's a lot of like descriptions in between the translations, and so it is sometimes a little bit challenging to make sure there's no misunderstandings at all when we're translating it, not just into English but like all of the other languages we got. But like as soon as we notice localization or translation issues, we like fix it as soon as possible. And honestly, I think as the game starts to mature a bit, these issues are going to become less and less, because I do agree, I've also seen these things, but I think it's fair to say we only make the same mistakes once, right? Like once it's fixed, it doesn't then repeat again in the next season or something like this. So yeah, I'm totally aware of it, definitely improving it, and this one I'm pretty confident it's going to get better with each new day and each new month and each new season. Yeah,
it's already noticeably got better as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's just I don't know if it's like exactly the same problem as like UI, because for example, if there's like dots missing at the end of sentences and stuff like that, it just makes it feel a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. It's like it doesn't seem as professional. It's not just about wording and like me screwing up my builds or whatever. It's also about just like looking right, if you know what I mean. Just yeah. Smooth.
I put it simply, I agree with you. Yeah, area to still be improved.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
The reason I say it's similar to UI is it's like it's always a work in progress. You know, actually the job is never finished, and that's kind of a good attitude to have, because it means we don't get lazy or complacent or like, oh, it's fine. But like that's the same with UI. These things are so intricate, and there's so many moving parts. That's kind of what I mean. Just the attitude comparison of we're always going to be working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think personally, ever since there was the Discord channel added in the official Torchlight Internet Discord, where players can report translation issues, that's definitely helped. Do you have any plans to add further ways for players to directly report translation issues to the devs?
That's actually because we're about having like a website or somewhere you can actually report what do you think this translation should be, and then we can actually have an official way to gather all those feedback and then just change it directly into the game. So there should be.
It's a really good idea, and I think that's something we should 100% see how we can make that happen. I think and I'm not like, oh, we're not going to do it, blah, blah, blah. But what I would say is the only caveat is sometimes, like the only reason I've been able to notice localization mistakes is when I've looked at the source and the localization and noticed that, for example, it's different at different parts, which obviously players wouldn't have that context if they're only viewing it in one language. But I think actually there are some parts where for sure they're going to notice things and can help make the game better. So we'll see what we can do there. No problem.
I mean,
also
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
So I have no idea how it currently works with your guys' translation or anything like that, but something that's definitely a problem is if the people who are translating it are not familiar with the game, right? They don't really understand the context. So for example, I remember in season 1, I made like a custom crit build and Thea's triple damage didn't work with triggered skills, and it was like, I have no idea why. It just didn't say it there, right? It just didn't say that. And that's probably a thing where maybe got translated by a program or somebody who has no like familiarity with the game, and didn't know that was like relevant. So maybe there's something to be said there as well.
Yeah, like honestly, the current English translation we have, the outsourcing company we have is actually the one who did the translation for Torchlight 2, and also so we are actually hiring, and we want those. We know the description is the most important part. We want the one who's doing the translation knows the game. That's really important to mention.
Yeah, that'll definitely help. And I know a lot of players, I mean, even some people here are multilingual, and so we'll be able to kind of look between, oh, this doesn't necessarily make sense in this language, let me check in another language I know, provide feedback that way, which can be very valuable, I think.
I have sort of a question that is more along the threads of, localization and stuff like that, but it might be kind of difficult for you guys to answer, specifically since it's like very difficult in general for games to get this right. But we already have separate leaderboards, within different regions and stuff like that. And also we're adding more leaderboards right into the game. You said that you're adding a leaderboard to the city of Aeterna, and I think that's great. I really, really enjoy, being able to farm mechanics and, get on a leaderboard that's like further incentivizes me to min-max my build and also engage in competition and stuff like that. But I feel like currently that is sort of being undermined by certain systems of the game, like the pet system and whatnot. And since we already do have technically separate servers aside for maybe the auction house, right? Would there be maybe like a place or a time where you guys can rebalance pets in the Western servers compared to Eastern servers and stuff like that, so that you can sort of incentivize competition to be more fair among the player base in general?
So your question is like, is there a chance that we'll have separate Western and Eastern versions, right?
More like balancing of the pets and stuff like that, right? Because like versions wise, I feel like the game maybe more separate versions of monetization, because you could also look at it in a way that like in the West we love buying skins, right? But currently buying skins in the game is pretty difficult, and there's a lot of people that I know that are just like, I want to buy them but I can't. So would you be more open to like changing the monetization for the West and aiming more towards like what do these guys prefer compared to the East, right?
How to answer this?
Can you guys answer it is the question? I mean, is it like something that you guys can talk about?
We can actually talk about it. It's okay. Like
Yep.
we definitely take that into account. Like we're thinking of it because the our Western players does not like those randomness. I would say like we just pay for what we want to do, and that's exactly we understand that. But currently we're developing our game like in one set, so like it's gonna be really hard. Like we can make another one, but it's gonna be really hard to do the follow-ups because it's gonna be hard to like maintain how like the differences, how the calculations is all gonna be different in two versions. And for now, we're all like focusing on maintaining and enhancing a single unified version of the game because it's gonna be a lot more work to like actually maintain two
Yeah.
and we want to like ensure that all players, because we are also all focused on the high quality, the core experience. So we want that all players, regardless of region, have a consistently high quality experience. And if we're only like developing one unified version, we can better concentrate on delivering the new content and features. And for now, we did take that into account that we might have to, but we are more focused on like still developing like or core gameplay. Once if the core gameplay we think is perfect, we're thinking about we might have the chance to like change into two different versions and maybe keeps on maintain two sets of the numbers or the two versions of the game.
This is why I was like trying to understand the question to begin with, is because it's kind of simplifying quite an issue that to follow your proposal would mean changing a lot. Actually, it's not like a simple changing certain things and then ignoring it. Actually, it would be totally different versions.
Right.
And yeah, then just to echo what Ian said, then it's like, okay, let's get one unified version good first before thinking about things like this. The other thing I would say is I've worked on games before where we've published different versions, and then inevitably some players aren't going to like that and they're going to end up like switching servers anyway. So it almost doesn't make sense in some ways, but yeah, not ruling it out.
So just to bring a little bit of a perspective for Path of Exile, I know a lot of people who have said they'd love to try the game, but the monetization as it stands right now is a hard line. They'll pay $60 or $90 for a supporter pack without issue, but they want to be able to pay a set amount and buy it. They won't have a chance to get a skin, even if they'd get that skin in the same amount of money. That pets are a hard line for them because they have been for other games like Path of Exile. And things like stash tabs, they want to buy them and have it, even if it means paying $20 or $30, a higher price. They don't want to have to rebuy it every season. And so with all these things, they say, I'm not going to play Torchlight Infinite because I personally don't feel comfortable with the monetization.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just also, I don't know, optics. It's like stigma attached to pay to win. It's not how hard your game is pay to win, because I don't think the game is really like it's that big of a deal. Like there's way like worse stuff out there. I think it's actually pretty fair. But the thing is just, is it there, yes or no? And that's kind of stigmatizing the game already. So I guess that will make it hard or harder to land in the West, I guess. So I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys that. That's like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I think sort of my perspective as a player is I personally don't feel like, you know, the percentage damage increase pets are so bad as compared to the ones that modify the way you farm mechanics, because currency acquisition is, in my opinion, one of the most important things about a video game with a live economy that is shared across the player base. And when certain people are able to acquire certain things that multiply rewards, and you know, in many cases it's very substantial, it really disincentivizes you to want to explore that mechanic until you have that pet, and in a way that sort of creates a nasty behavior that the player might develop with the game, which is where you think, oh, I can't do this, and yeah, I have to spend this money to be able to engage in that kind of content. And I personally feel like, from my perspective, that is not very healthy, and something that I would love to see, you know, worked on in the future. But of course, you know, that's my perspective, and you guys have to pay the bills and stuff like that. So, but just my point of view on that.
One thing I would like to shoot in, getting away from the monetization a little bit, I guess, also concerning about pets is even if you're free to play and you get the pets over time, one of the problems I see is people who played for several seasons will have a lot of quant pets, like Tuna just said, not just damage, but like they will start out like with double the drops that somebody who just started will have. And if they want to compete in the economy, that's definitely going to be a problem. Whereas if they do like 20% more damage, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. But getting that many more FE drops, that's gonna be a big deal. So I guess even without completely, regardless of the monetization, that could be a problem down the line if we have some seasons in, right?
Yeah, like the original design for those pets is more like improve of life of quality, and that's the thing that we originally designed that for. But now, yeah, those are really helpful suggestions. We definitely take that into account because we do understand that when it comes to more and more leaderboards, players will notice their gap between well and not free-to-play players, and definitely those are the things that we do not want our players to think that they're playing unfair gaming environment. And yes, we definitely understand that, and we will have more discussions about that. But thank you all for having those really precious suggestions.
Just one thing there's less on that. Do you have any thought on, when people have 3 different setups of pets, and there's this thing you can do where you swap to a pet, there's maybe the Dark Surge pet or the Q pet. Is this intended? Because obviously it's quite a weird loop when you're playing the game. Is this something that you're happy with, or is changing pets within an instant something you might think about getting rid of?
Yeah, well, I think we already did adding a new mechanic where if you switch paths, it only the effect only will affect the next round. So when you enter another map, it will affect. So you cannot do
I love that.
Yeah, so you cannot like when it comes to there's cube in this stage, I will switch to cube pad. It does not like work. So for now,
thank God.
Yeah, awesome. we're not adding that. That's we've seen people like doing that, and we add a mechanic to prevent that.
Awesome.
It's great. And on the topic of heroes, hero traits, in some of the very early screenshots for the game, there's an option to swap between traits on a hero. Do you have any plans to potentially reintroduce this? I've heard from a lot of people that they like playing multiple builds, and they like playing builds across different characters. I'm sure a lot of people are going to see Gemma, who now has 3 different hero traits for mixed elements, fire and cold, and say, oh, that's so many builds I can play, but they don't want to level 3 different times.
That's not the thing that we receive a lot of feedbacks from. But for now, we take different hero traits as different heroes, which means whenever you want to try out a different hero trait, that it means you probably have to level up another one. But we are thinking about adding a new, and also it's like improve of life qualities. We can have once you have one character that goes through all the narratives, all the stories. When you enter the net room, you can have the chance to actually level up, create a new character without going through the leveling experience again. You can just directly go into net room whenever you create a new character, so that it will be a lot easier if you want to try out different builds. You don't have to go through the story mode again. I think that's one thing we're trying to solve the issue where the cost of creating a new character will be kind of too high because you have to spend hours and hours leveling another one. But for now, for switching between different hero traits, I think in the future we might add more interactions between different hero traits. So like there's a chance that one hero trait can have the other hero traits like effect.
Ooh.
That's one thing.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but for now, for switching between different hero traits, that we still take that as different heroes. So it's not like a talent swap. So for now, I don't think we can create such situation for players to actually switch between different hero traits. But we're lowering the leveling barrier while adding more mechanics that can possibly interact with different hero traits. So I think in the future there will be more cooperation between different hero traits, and it will be a lot more fun.
Does that in any way indicate that we're approaching the point where you're going to stop adding new heroes, or is this are we getting more and more?
Oh, we're still adding new heroes for sure.
Yeah.
It's not. I think we're still. I'm not telling the numbers. We're still adding new heroes, yeah, and new hero traits as well.
Awesome.
I really like the idea of having a different way to level a character. I think that's gonna encourage so much more people to try new things.
Yeah,
So-
because trying new things, having more new characters is also healthy to the game economy.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, another idea would be like Grim Dawn does it, I think, with XP gear, like certain sets of items that make farming faster. That would also be a interesting addition, maybe.
Yeah, we might add more.
Yeah,
emphasis to
pets,
that.
maybe.
Like those are actually really like they're rare drops. They're like something people farm for in endgame, so it would actually also be a pretty hype drop. Yeah.
Right.
All right, we got more.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys got more questions. Who,
I could add in a
I feel like
question.
either Milky or Tuna hasn't spoken in or asked in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
Milky's turn.
I had a
just
question
wanna-
about the infinite scaling, of course, but you guys already answered that, and I'm really happy to see that you're adding leaderboards. It's
Yeah.
gonna, encourage people to min max and competition and stuff like that. But the next step to that would be, and this is a question that's asked a lot, and I know you guys are probably going through all kinds of hell trying to make this work out. Multiplayer, and will we be able to compete with our friends against other people that are competing with their friends and stuff like that, right? So when is multiplayer coming? Is that like coming along the line? And what are we going to be getting player-to-player trading as well with that? So if you get an item, you can trade it to your friend rather than having to sell it or, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, multiplayer. Oh my god, see it in Discord all the time. When's it coming? And see it in the comments. Yeah, I actually I think it's okay to say we already have the multiplayer mode.
Yeah.
But considering how it works right now, I must admit I don't think it would fulfill our players' expectations. So we're just perfecting it, or even optimizing it, I would say. So yeah, did you say when? Did
Well,
you ask?
You don't have to give a specific time, but
Good,
more
because
along
we
the
don't
lines of,
have a
like-
specific time, but we're getting close. If you want to come work for us, you can come check it out. And for the rest of the world, yeah, ASAP's a dangerous word, but very, very soon, just perfecting it. And your second question was about the P2P trade, right?
yes.
No, since we've got a trade house already, and it would be harder to monitor the RMT, I can say no to this at the moment.
Once
Okay.
we have the multiplayer, we know what our players want our multiplayers to be, but considering the fact that we are both on PC and mobile, and now it's already really laggy when it comes to we have insane drops, and we have to handle those issues, so that's why we didn't put it up this season. But it's pretty close. I would say it's pretty close.
Cool.
Talking about
Just going off
Sorry.
drops. Oh, okay. Yeah, just going off drops. Like you just mentioned, even then, it's a lot of it, right? A lot of the excitement in the very end game is the volume of drops you get, right? You get a full screen. Is there any thought about? I mean, you're gonna know it. The Mirror of Calandra kind of item, a really pinnacle item that's super rare. And is there any thoughts about something like that to the game?
We might considering adding those very precious ones, but those are not FEs or flame sand. Those might be those super rare legendaries. But for now, we're still looking at, because in the past those very precious legendaries are the ones that normal players can never have. But in the same case, it's the same case in Path of Exile. But
Yeah,
yeah,
something like consumable, something that would be used. Like
consumables,
crafting or something. Yeah.
we're adding some of those really close, for divinity slates. I remember we do have something that can reset the slates, and it's also kind of expensive in the last season. But we will consider adding more to that, definitely.
Yeah, so we just talked about the trading house as well and the RMT and stuff. You guys introduced the taxes. How do you guys feel about it? Looking at it some months later, do you guys have some data about how good that went? And is it something you want to keep in the game?
Yeah, so one standard that we add that tax is we want to make sure that the consume and the cost of the FEs is close to 1. So like whenever players get 1 FE, they have somewhere else to actually consume that. And from last season, our crafting system does not work as we want it to be. So I think tax solves one of the huge problems, because if there's no tax, then the inflation will be insane. There will be more and more FEs in the game, and I think we will keep the tax for now, because in the next season the crafting will be a lot more better, and then we'll see if we want to like lower the taxes to keep the entire game economy a lot more healthier.
I think the
guess,
new compass system.
Mhm.
I think the
Go
new
ahead.
compass system's gonna help with that a lot too, because players will have a reason to spend their flame elementium, and most likely a lot of the loot they get won't be flame elementium. It'll be other valuable items. So FE has been destroyed but not regenerated, and players still feel like they've generated more value than they spent.
To be fair, we also don't really know how the new crafting system will work there, because some of the like FEs have a lot more use cases. I feel like now, like you want to upgrade to tier 0 and stuff like that. So maybe that's going to burn a lot of FEs. But yeah, I think in general, you guys could definitely add some more stuff. Maybe like even something like map device and Path of Exile with Chaos Orbs or whatever. I think would definitely be a good thing as well. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I want to mention is the compasses, the new season. You can directly bought it from the store using Flame Elementium. That's one way that we want to like consume those, so you don't have to worry about players keeping those compasses and then selling at a higher price. And also, I think it's really the new crafting system. Basically, we want to make it more rewarding, so like players will use more crafting, and obviously they will spend more FEs into it. So that will make the entire economy more healthier.
That will make it way better to post videos, because now I'm not gonna quadruple the price of Hunter compasses anymore, I guess, which is good.
You can share your strategies now and not worry about it.
Very
I never
happy about
shared
that. Yeah.
I have a question about the loot, actually, since Milky was alluding to, big screen explosion loot stuff. Is there maybe in the near future going to be something where we can customize what we see on the screen?
Yes, next season.
Okay.
I'll just tell you, it's gonna be next season.
Great.
Nice. So
Thank you.
fully customizable loot filters, or will okay?
Exactly.
Awesome.
It's fully customized.
Will it be
very
in game? In game?
In game.
In
Amazing.
game. Awesome.
Oh.
Just choose
Nice.
where you want to see on the ground, because there's more and more. Because honestly, we're changing we're changing crafting each season, and that means those weapon base, those armor base will be in different value each season. So in this season, you might want to see it on the ground, but next season, no, you don't want to see it. And it will be a lot harder for us to make those filters by ourselves. So we would just want our players to design it, customize it at their own.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like from Dark Surge to Black Sail, like it went from you only wanted to find white items on the ground to only wanting to find like blue and purple items on the ground.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So we want
see what I mean.
it to be customized.
I don't know if this is already going to be something that you guys will add as a function, but is there a possibility of also adding a function where we can share that with people?
You mean share the yes,
loot filter.
Yeah, it's like talents in World of Warcraft. There you can just output a kind of
Like a string?
yeah, like a string, numbers or letters, and then you can just share with others. Whenever
That's
others
great.
have it, they can just input those as a
Oh.
filter.
Now every time you make a build, you've got to make a filter for someone too.
Oh,
Good luck,
no.
boys.
No.
It's over. It's over.
it's a complete system. So yeah, it's just
That's
not
really cool.
in this system. But those are definitely things that we want to make our players' life better.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, I
Thank
love that
you.
it's in game too. I never want to alt tab.
Yeah.
I never want to leave my. I
love,
never want to leave the game.
I love how we all
Understand.
play so much. We all play so much PoE that we're like in game. What really?
I think just this is all good. We just want like players' feedback as soon as possible, as much as possible, to see like how the season works and what do you guys want the new season to be. And basically, yeah, we just want the experience to be better. So yeah.
Oh, I
and
missed.
do it.
I missed one question.
Yeah.
I gotta put you on the hot seat again. The Cube of Rapacity Avarice code. We could not get all the points, and it was frustrating. Can we get all the points this time?
Yeah, it's designed to be like you can only have one huge points, but it's gonna be a lot more. Like honestly, the number there is just crazy. I don't think players have the chance to complete all of those.
Yeah.
I think it's the same in this season. Even though I think we deducted the times to do the code by like 3 times. So because it's not like last season, it's always there's a chance to beat the page. So I think it's the same as last season. You will not get them all. It's gonna be really.
Yeah, sorry. I meant I expected it to not change with Q, but I get it. But the new passive tree that you have for the new City of Aeterna mechanic, you get them all?
Yeah, you get them all.
Okay.
As long as you farm those. We do offer something like last season, but like it's gonna be something. Let's say level 1 is all the mobs in the map. Their health is reduced by 0.5%. And then level 2 is like 1%, level 3 is 1.5%, and you can level up to like 50. And then you can just farm that. So it's not that huge, but like you can still farm for those.
That's pretty
Nice.
good.
Honestly, I think
33%
this league
more
mechanic
damage.
is amazing. I think
Yeah.
you guys, like the first thing that actually like I saw it and I was like, this looks like Binding of Isaac, so it's kind of cool that you mentioned that game.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
Like the fact
Yeah,
that it's like a
obviously-
roguelike and replayable, and it's a completely new system that's separate to basically, beacons and whatnot. So it's gonna be nice to be able to like specialize into something else rather than just being like a one trick.
We spend a lot of time doing the new mechanics. That's the main thing we have. And I think we're already working on next season, since we all the seasons after is gonna be like 3 months.
Yeah, I
So
was just
it's
about
gonna
to
be like
say.
this time it's gonna be 4 months. All the seasons gonna be 3 months, and it's gonna be a lot more tight. And one thing, it's not recorded, right? I can just tell you guys that we might have this the preseason. So like before next season, we can also like 1 month, I believe it's 1 month before next season, we will create a new season. That is something we increase the drop rate, adding a few more insane mechanics, so like players can experience once again. So like but also we're doing a little bit balances changes, so like it's not gonna be just one season within a season. It's gonna be like a small season between.
Oh, it's like a temp season where you just
like a temp
try
season.
stuff out, go crazy. Like let's
You
see what we
can-
can do. Okay.
You guys
I-
did
I-
already something like that this
I'm
season,
kinda
right? Where you
interested.
increased loot.
Say that again.
Sorry, you go ahead, Sean.
It's okay. After you, Tuna.
Yeah, I think you guys already did something like that this season, right? Where like there was like a multiplier on uniques, for example, like a weekend or something like that.
But
So I'd
Legendaries.
like to see that being expanded upon, right? Like a season where people come in, everything's crazy for like a week or 2.
yeah,
I think that's a very good idea.
is a that is a brand new like season, preseason thing. Everyone started from 0, but now this time drop rate, new mechanics, some easier but like super exciting mechanics.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, for me as well, you guys are doing a really great job. Like in terms of, I've seen so many ARPGs come and go over the years, and they all try to like fit in these seasons like PoE. They want to compete with PoE, but like you guys are really knocking it out of the park. And whereas PoE sometimes takes like a few weeks to ramp up the league mechanic whenever it comes out, you guys usually stick the landing right at the start. So I think in terms of league mechanics, you guys definitely have some really good stuff going on over there. Some really polished stuff. Yeah.
We try to find our position in between. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
definitely we're designing things, thinking, is it good for our players? Is it to like
So far for
Or
me,
you
every
can- you-
season start has been just dopamine. Like it's
Yeah.
Yep.
the game just feels really good to play. And it's like a
just
blast.
good game.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
But you
why
keep making mechanics that look like this one though, then
Mhm.
I'm gonna be playing forever because I love skill trees and I love leaderboards and
leaderboards.
infinitely scaling stuff.
Yeah, the scaling stuff is so
all that
good.
stuff. It looks amazing. Yeah.
Like in the past, the reason we didn't make that is because it's hard to do the balancing between each hero traits. But now we think of, okay, we could just do rankings for each hero traits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So players
Absolutely.
will be like, oh, Jamma 2. Okay, no one's playing that. You can only do like 50, level 50, but the others can do like a level 120. Who
Yeah, and
cares?
also-
Those who plays, well, somebody cares, but like players still like, you don't know how to design the game because those balancing is just too bad. But still, like those who plays Jamma 2, they know they're competing with each other. They're still min-maxing that hero trait. So yeah, that's why it's still meaningful to do that, and that's why we're doing leaderboards for now. Yeah.
And like
Time to
bragging
find
rights are also one of the only things that can get people out of the currency race, right? Like, for example, you can say from this point onwards, we're not going to increase the rewards, but you're going to get higher in leadership in ranking. Otherwise, you like that's a good reason to basically stop the scaling and make it less crazy from like top to bottom, right? So
Right.
it's pretty good.
Make it more honorable rewards. So
Yeah.
like players knows, oh, you're the best in playing Thea, but like, oh, I'm still the best playing Gemma 2. This the
We're
same.
gonna find some immortal builds or something. Don't you worry. We're gonna break your game and find some crazy builds to do it. Don't
Yeah,
you
like-
worry.
Players break our game every season. Like, is
Yeah.
getting used to that.
Oh yes, that's always going to happen. I think.
I think last
Sorry,
season someone did I believe how many damage?
I think I saw 3.7 trillion on Bing. I think
Yeah,
it was.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's a few trillion damage. Just we're numb to those. So it's
I like
That's
that dummy
definitely-
change you did, by the way. Because now when someone sends me a dummy DPS test, I can actually see that they have one survivability, and I can just I can just close it and say,
Put
"Shut up."
Survival up there.
Yeah.
That's
Now we
that's
just need the
like-
dummy to hit people.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like when the designers they tell me that they're adding a survival up there. I was like, okay, so now dummies fight back to you. Did they just get one shot by the dummy? They're like, no, it just shows your survival.
Can you do it so if you hit it for too long within like a certain amount of time, your character just dies? Please.
That'd be good, yeah. That'd be
Because
good.
so many people just sit there hitting the dummy and ask me
or like
about it.
or like a message like get back to
Yeah.
farming
Yeah.
or something.
It turns
cool.
the floor of the area to lava.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty Flores lava. Oh,
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like actually, we're thinking about players. There are players that standing right next to dummy like all day. They're testing out how to break the game.
Yeah.
They're not farming anything. Like yeah, but it happens.
They've already got
Players
they've
like
got
to
the
break
they've got the 1x6 divinity slate, and they've got all the +1s next to it. They don't need any more gear. They do.
They're fine, yeah.
They're chilling.
I mean, I think that's one of the cool things about the game. I know like it sounds weird, but that's like one of the cool things about the game too. Is being able to have direct feedback of like, being able to test your build
Yeah, the
rather
dummy
than
must be good for you as well, right? That the people
Yeah.
test
We
it out really
can
quick.
see who got the most damage and see
Yeah.
if there's anything wrong with them or us.
Or Frost Touch.
like as much as I love path
Or
of
frost
building,
touch,
right?
yeah.
It's nice to have that feedback in game rather
Yeah,
than
I think we're considering
saying.
adding more to those customizations because for now, you guys play World of Warcraft?
I used
There-
to.
play a ton now.
Yeah. So there's details that shows the components of your
Yeah,
your
your
damage.
breakdown.
Like a breakdown.
Yeah, like a breakdown. So there might be a chance that you can actually have that in the future, so you know what part of damage that it comes from, or. But it's still like we're having a lot more things. There's a lot more things we want to do, we want to achieve in the future, and really tight schedule. So I think
Yeah.
now most of our team are working on next season for now. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like people? Do you guys have like people who work on like overarching things while everybody else is like basically working on the seasons? Is that how it works? Like
Sure.
people? Yeah.
Yeah.
different working on different.
Yeah, I mean the season-based stuff is combining things like narrative, but it is everything content-based basically. But then when you guys are asking about UI, localization, multiplier, and even some of the
Yeah.
like core features like trade house and this kind of stuff, then yeah, that's pretty separated.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is kind of what you're asking or not, but it's important to like not lose sight of the bigger picture when we're
Exactly. Yeah.
developing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's easy for us as players to lose sight of the picture because we've never seen it, right? So I think that's where you guys provide the context.
Yeah, you guys have your vision, right, of
Yeah.
where you want the game to be in like 2 years or whatever. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I
It's
think-
actually it would. I don't know if this is something we could ever do, but well, if you guys ever come to Shanghai, China, which is obviously where all of our team is based, it's really nice getting to walk around the offices because like we've got all of these concept drawings and storyboards and all of this stuff going on. It's really incredible, like to kind of see the project and each new part of it coming to life.
It's just very noisy. Like everyone's arguing there. They're thinking their ideas is the
Dude, it
best.
sounds so intriguing just to see it all be like how it, just the logistics of it from so many people, and then it comes together. And I'd
Yeah,
love to
so
see
it will come together. We're talking about games and designs. It's just, yeah. It's
and then
great.
out of it comes a really good game, and it's like, oh, yes.
One
I
thing.
think since you mentioned WoW,
Mhm.
do you think you'd ever have like macros into the game, like WoW does?
Actually, we're thinking about because in the next season, it's not like macros, but we're adding something like a new passive skill, support skills, where it automatically triggers the skills that you already equipped. So we do not want macros, but we want like players, no matter they're playing on PC or mobile, can simply use one button to like.
That's
pair.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I like that idea more because one problem with macros or add-ons in WoW is it then trivializes certain aspects of the game,
Yeah,
which causes
it's
developers to design around the macro's existence, which punishes anyone who doesn't use it.
Yeah, there has to be some amount of friction in the game. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like using supports that do the same thing because then you're giving something up.
Yeah, you're
And
giving
getting
up
something-
things. You're giving up skill cost because you cannot equip something more, but now it triggers the skill automatically for you. So yeah, that's one thing you have to give up for. That's how we designed that. Actually, it's in the game for next season.
I did want to talk
Yeah,
about a couple
so-
of things. Oh,
Mhm.
go ahead, Milky.
No, go.
All right. So a couple things from the questions that I just had one idea in terms of the pets separate servers. And when you were mentioning the restart or second league, have you thought of a separate competitive server for one of those as a test?
Yes, that's actually the case that I'm being, preparing for telling that team that we want to have that. It's more like competitive server. It's like everyone has the same thing. We are selecting a certain hero trait. Like for example, we're using Thea, we're using Yoga this time, and then everyone competes to see who got like the fastest time. I think the competitive server is one thing that we will definitely have in the future, and I'm actually the one writing the proposal for that.
Yeah, that's really
Cool.
cool. I think
That's
the
very
one
cool
thing
idea.
that actually diminishes the competitiveness, sorry to bring it back to this, but when like on season start, when everyone's pushing for level 100 and when you hit 96,
Yeah.
you either have the reduction of
The
XP
pets or
mitigation
not.
or you just don't take
Yeah.
any penalty on death.
Yes.
And I think once you get to 96, it's just I stop. That's just where
that's
I
when a
call
lot
it
of people
that.
stop at level 90.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
trying to
competitive-
eliminate that in some way would be amazing.
yeah,
But at the
competitive-
same time,
Mhm.
just as a side thing, asking someone to choose between starting on a fresh economy and trade, which is the most exciting time to play, and playing on a competitive server is a big thing to ask of someone. So I guess be careful of that. That would be a big
Yeah.
thing to ask of players. Yeah.
That's why I was thinking of it for the
so-
event
sorry.
specific.
Yeah, so I guess the hard question for the races is, do you want to do them in the first week when everybody has like the attention on
No.
Torchlight?
No, it's gonna be weeks after.
Yeah, and then the problem is weeks after, very often the attention is already away, so maybe you're gonna get less players.
That's another
So
issue.
so you have to kind of find like a middle way, and you also have to find a way to get the attention back, because then it's actually a good thing, right? Because maybe you get them back, and afterwards they play a little bit more again, right? So I guess you guys have like ideas like events and stuff. I don't know if events work. It's like it's really hard to get people's attentions back once they're on to the next game, right? That's like really rough.
You know what? This is kind of the funny thing with all of the. Oh, am I frozen? I could see my. I don't know. We're good.
Just real quickly,
You're
yeah.
good.
You're good. Yeah.
So it's the same with games that have been doing this for a lot. Our IP is super long running, but this Torchlight Infinite, there are games that have been doing a lot longer than us, and you can see every season, new season, there's like a huge spike in players. It drops off, and then
Yep.
there's a huge spike, and maybe it's a bit more than the last season that it drops off. So like, honestly, I would actually say in some ways we're not even worried about that. Of course, like we want to produce new content. They're going to keep the players coming back halfway through the season and stuff. And that's actually something the conversation kind of got shifted, but I was going to ask because I was interested to hear how you guys plan your seasons, especially around the different like games in this genre. And I was kind of interested, like, you know, are we in the calendar now, or how are you going to play it? But yeah, for the events, for now, the logic is not to do it at launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the play. It's just finding that how long after to make it still, you know,
Yeah.
you're not interrupting
So for me,
people, basically.
So for me, it very much depends on when you guys. So for your question, if you're in my calendar, you are in my calendar, right? It's like the only thing is how long you're in my calendar usually depends on how far away from PoE you are. For example, right now I'm still really hooked in PoE, and then next week I'll play it, sure, right? But if it was like later, I would probably play like 2-3 weeks, and this time I might just maybe play 1 week because I also want to get back to PoE and it's still fresh. And all my communities playing and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of determined that. But in general, yeah, I'm looking forward to it every time, man.
Yeah, that's also one thing we want to position ourselves is want to make the season and the seasons in between a lot more frequent. So like whenever you want to come to play, there's there's a new season coming in, and whenever you do not want to, just leave it there and then come back anytime. So
make the seasons more bite-sized, a little bit smaller, or maybe Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
That's the position we're having right now. But considering we're adding more and more season gameplay into that, the dev team is always complaining if we're making the season shorter and shorter, we do not have time for the new season gameplay. I was like, okay, let's. No, we have
3 months feels like a sweet
Just
spot,
turn
but-
everything up to max, and there you go. You don't need a new season gameplay. You're good. I mean, PoE
I
have
guess-
done that tons of times, right? With their like special races and stuff. You can make the game's already got enough to make crazy. Obviously not for an actual full season, but for a smaller one, as you said, it would be. There's plenty.
I mean, one thing you could try is maybe have like the big boss that you plan for the league release after week 1 or like after week 2. I don't know if that's actually gonna hinder you guys or if that's actually gonna be a bad thing. But to your thing, I definitely agree, right? Like it's almost impossible to get people back, right? Like this curve is always gonna happen, but I think it's still worth trying, right? Because there's that's like the part to min-max that even PoE hasn't really figured out. That's like the part. The question is it a thing that you can figure out, or is it just like a lost cause, right? Is it fine to even put resources there? But I think it's definitely worth trying, right? No.
Actually, we're thinking about putting it's like different leagues, like solo self-founds and things like that. Is another way to solve the issue where players are all starting on day 1 and then all of a sudden, like let's say if we have a hardcore player, they die, they have to restart it together. Then those are things we're thinking all the time. We're debating whether we're adding those different versions, different leagues. Yeah, it's a
You
lot
guys are
of
doing
stuff.
so much. There's so much going on.
And in terms of is Torchlight Infinite in my schedule? Absolutely yes. How long I play, it depends on how much I'm enjoying the league. Also, because I'm a content creator, how much are people watching the content? That's a factor. And when it is has a big influence on that. This time, like with Palestron, it's probably going to be shorter because there's still a lot of interest for Path of Exile, but I'll see. Maybe it'll pop off, everyone will be interested, and I'll just keep playing it. Also for Starfield, there's so many games that I want to play right now that
Last
this
Epoch,
week-
right, has the Rune Master out, I think,
Yeah. But that said, there have been times like during Black Sail, I was playing a ton of Torchlight. I was loving the game, and there wasn't much else going on. I'm sure there's going to be some seasons very busy like this one, other seasons not much going on where I'll play longer.
And we're worried about that as well because we just have too much game to play. Here.
Do you guys play RPGs? Like, are you guys grinders? Do you play PoE and stuff like that?
I would
Do
say
you just do it for research or?
No, like 95% of our team are hardcore, hardcore defense for those for the
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so they take inspiration from
haven't-
PoE.
Yeah, those are so we actually when we hire people, there's like a visible line. We didn't tell them, but if they have to play one of those RPG for like what 5,000 hours or 3,000 hours at
What
least
the heck?
getting into the game. Because you have
Yeah,
to
I'm
know the
s-
game.
sending you my
Yeah,
resume,
yeah, you
bro.
have to-
I got
yeah.
15,000.
You have to know the game. But honestly, sometimes we'll find someone that is not that one of the gamers, because those who plays this game might have the fixed mindset about how the game should be like, but sometimes we want some new ideas coming from others. So it's always, so that's why I say it's 95%. So we still have those players who didn't try out the ARPG genre before, but they have a lot of ideas then.
And they have other perspectives as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the trade cards is actually from someone who plays the roguelikes a lot.
This is
And-
my favorite part of the game,
yeah,
man.
that's also,
Can
also
tell that guy thank you.
That's
I love
actually-
that. I can play the Torchlight endgame for forever.
yeah, the trade
Like,
cards.
just give me
yeah.
any character, I'll do it.
Wait,
And,
you start with D2 or
No, I started with D3. D2 is
D3?
is before my age, honestly. It's,
Okay, yeah, same. Exactly same for me. Yeah, also started with D3. Yeah.
Yeah, I also started with D3, and then I couldn't play D3 because of the server issues, and so I ended up playing Path of Exile, then going back to D3 because it worked, and that started me playing ARPGs.
I played a lot of these kind of games. There's one that I remember when I played Dota. There's those Steamworks. What is it? It's workshops. They like the player made a lot of maps, and there's a lot of ARPGs in there, and I play a lot of those. So those are all like, oh, I just love ARPG.
One more thing, to go back to multiplayer and trade and all that. I know there are some concerns in terms of monitoring RMT, but I think it's going to be really important when multiplayer comes to have player-to-player trading, because someone's going to want to play with their friends, and then your friend gets a cool item that's perfect for their build, and they want a way to be able to give that, or take that item from their friend without having to put it up on the auction house, risk someone else buying it, and all of those problems.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, we'll take that into account. But for now, the logic is kind of same as Path of Exile. It's all on the ground, and then some of those belongs to you, some of them belongs to your friends.
Well, it's
So you
gonna
can
be
just drop it?
Yeah, just drop it. Well,
So,
no, I
for
don't think you
example-
can drop it.
Oh, yeah, that's why I was asking, because right now you can't drop items. So in Path of Exile, you could just drop an item on the ground
Yeah.
and give it
It's,
to your friend.
it's not the same, but like those are like, once you have that on the ground, some of them are yours, some of them your friend.
Yeah.
And then, if you didn't pick up for a period of time, your friends can pick it up. But if
I
you
mean,
want
people are just going to bypass the auction house, right? If you even do that, you just add, instead of trading, you just add someone as a
Right.
friend. And
if we want to do like friends, players to players trade, we might have to like add some restriction to it. So like,
like you've been friends for a certain amount of time or something, or
yeah, you have to be in the group for a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
so you can.
Have you
trade.
guys seen
I
how it's done in Last Epoch, right? Where it's like, if you're in a party with that person, when the item was dropped, you can trade it within like 2 days,
Yeah.
right? Or something like that.
In World of Warcraft,
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think.
Once
Yeah,
once we got the multiplayer online, we can see how it goes, right, Ian?
Yeah.
Which will be soon.
I look forward to it. That sounds
Hopefully.
no, it's cool.
like
It's
fun,
cool.
cool
It's
stuff.
let's not
I
say
need to-
soon.
Yeah, Milky has to be my aura bitch. So
no.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter how soon, as long as it comes out polished. It's just
Yeah, that's
knowing
the
that,
thing, right?
that
Yeah.
is
And
the important thing, right?
I also think it's very, very important to make something that feels good when it comes to multiplayer, even over having it soon. And I do think trade is
Right.
part of that. So
That's
I'd be
that's
very-
the reason why we didn't put it up this season.
Yeah.
It's already done, but like it's not what we want it to be. There's still yeah, like including like the grouping experience is probably not as good as you doing solo, something like that. That the experience is not as good as what we want it to be. So that's why we
you want a good first impression. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you guys did that, because it'd be easy. Everyone so many people want it. It'd be easy. You say you've got it right. It'd be easy to just say, here you go, and all these players are happy. But it's cool that you're saying, hang on, it's not quite there yet. Give us a minute. Yeah, I think
actually kinda interesting.
Cool
Do
that
you-
you're doing that.
Do you guys often have like the thing where people ask for stuff and you just know you can't say it, but you would just love to share it with them, and you're just like, oh, god damn it, We already have something prepared, but I can't share it yet. I mean, that must be frustrating, right?
It is.
I would say pretty
like
often.
Colin
From
telling me.
publishing side, yeah.
Yeah.
For all of the support on the Maxroll side and all of your content. And we're really looking forward to seeing you in the new season. It's going to be epic.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Likewise.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's gonna be
And,
fun. I've been playing that a lot these days.
Yeah.
all right, guys. See you soon.
See you
Cheers,
guys.
guys. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.